Hi, my name's John Cordy, and we all know there's nothing quite like a good manual, and I wanted to do today probably one of the more expensive amps in the HX Stomp, the Matchless DC30, and this amp is, super expensive in the real world, sort of $4 kind of thing, a 2-channel amp. Channel 1, the manual says this channel has 3 controls, volume, bass and treble. This is the triode channel, and this channel offers a 2-stage active tone circuit employing a second pair of triode amplifiers. This circuitry is popularly referred to as tone boost or treble boost circuit, and that essentially, I guess, means that's a Vox Top Boost based circuit. And they say channel 1 may be preferred for that early British sound that we have become so endeared to. So I'm guessing you're going to be thinking about Vox, that's what they're trying to invoke with that. Whereas channel 2, this channel utilises a pentode vacuum tube as the first preamplifier stage. This preamplifier is capable of more gain than channel 1 and capable of being overdriven harder. This may become the channel of choice for heavier sound, especially when overdriven used in conjunction with the master volume control option. The multi-position rotary tone switch varies the dimension of width of the tone envelope. The minimum position, so we'll just go to here. The minimum position will produce a thinner sound that will become thicker and thicker with each clockwise click of the switch. You see there, you've got that being switched across. So let's just dig into this amp a little bit, and the other control that is valid is this cut, which essentially controls the bandwidth or high frequency response of the power amplifier. In the minimum counterclockwise position, the amp is at full bandwidth, and clockwise rotation control decreases the bandwidth of the amplifier, fewer highs or less top end. So the cut control is used to soften or take off the edge of a harsh instrumental tone setting. The effect is settled before the halfway point on the control increases the amount of cut from midpoint to full. So the cut control is most effective when the master volume is bypassed or set for maximum gain. I think it's worth bearing in mind that this is a good lesson for how the Helix stuff kind of works. So where you've got master volume maxed here or presence zeroed out, that is kind of the default settings. So those are their neutral default settings on an amplifier which doesn't have a presence control and doesn't have a master volume. So leave those at 10 and 0 if you want those to be as the amp in real life would work. Now, the next page of the manual talks about the importance of speakers, and as it turns out, Matchless have a certain arrangement they like to use. So what I chose to do was, you've got this 2x12 Match H30. I've chosen to use a dual cab version, so dual like this, and I've also used the G25. So H30 on one side with the 57, I moved that to 1 inch, and those are the settings. And then the G25 with a separate microphone I've used here, 421, and so that's the typical arrangement of a DC30 or C30. I think they've changed the name of that a few times. So I thought that's worth knowing, that they normally mismatch speakers within their combos, especially given that that's kind of the typical process. So most times you would have heard a Matchless C30, this is the kind of thing that you've got going on. They've also included a load of control settings, so we can just go through some of these. So these are the exact stock settings here. I've just got a glitz reverb at the end, and I was kind of blown away by some of the tones that I was hearing earlier on. So those are the default settings of channel 1, and the default settings of channel 2 sound like this. I just really like both of those tones. I'll turn off the gate here a second. To some of the suggested settings, and I'm using a Strat right now. A vintage clean Fender tone. The suggested settings are something like this. Splash that on the screen. So I'm going to turn the volume up to about 3.5. The bass I'm going to keep a bit lower, about 3, and the treble I'm going to put to 5, which is where it already is. Loads of that chime and stuff, it does respond quite nicely to volume knob changes, so cleans up nicely is what I'm trying to say there. So then it also gives a vintage clean for channel 2, so I'll just check this out now. So drive set to about 3 again, tone between 2 and 3 I think. Let's try 2. Cut, leave there, and we don't have a treble on this one, so that's cool. So okay, so this tone control, what did we say? So as we increase this drive, things can get a little bit I would advise using the channel volume to control volume if things are getting too loud rather than the master, so keep the master at 10. Channel volume to change the volume without affecting tone. And as a rule, if I want a thinner tone, keep that tone down lower. But quite a wide range, and I think some of the sample settings do show the gain up full, so don't be too afraid to experiment with that. I'll just keep that volume down, and I guess as you increase that drive, but you know, kind of a really cool tone. A really cool tone, especially considering there's nothing in front of these amp channels. You're just hearing straight how that would sound. So here's the channel 1 again. They do advise that you can use the drive all the way up on channel 1 as well, so let's just check that out and keep that channel volume down a bit. And one of the settings that it suggests for the distortion for the guitar is for channel 1, have the drive all the way up, bass kind of around 2.5, the cut where it is there, and the treble maybe 6-ish. Cleans up really beautifully, probably one of the best cleaning up amps I think, with just a volume in the Helix. So I'm gonna save that right now, and you'll be able to grab that preset if you want. So I'm going to have that as channel 1 kind of lead tone, channel 2 then channel 1, and bypass that and take that down to 2.5 and put everything to the defaults, which I thought was a really beautiful tone, and that will sound like this. Just an awesome amp model, I think, so feel free to check that out if you want. As I say, I think it's really useful, especially if someone like Matchless write a decent manual in the same way that Meza Boogie write really thorough manuals. I think this can be a useful exercise to check out what they say about how their amp works. So feel free to like and subscribe if you want to. Leave comments about how you use your Matchless. If you've got one in real life, I'd love to hear from you. I think I want to check one out in real life now, but that's going to be a problem. But anyway, that's the Matchless. A huge range of tones available. There's settings in the manual for Fenders, for like Dan Electro style guitars, for Les Pauls and PRS style guitars as well. So do check that out. I'll flash up some of that now, I guess. You can pause if you want to check those out. But 100% worth checking out that manual if you want to get some kind of ideas. But I think also very importantly, Matchless they use mismatched speakers in their cab. So an H30 as well as a G25 is probably, I think, part of the key to getting that Matchless chime thing going on. It's about having mismatched speakers that react differently and you get kind of this maybe bigger tone. So feel free to check that out, and I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers.